After attending the official reception, Franz Ferdinand now insists on visiting the injured in hospital. As a precaution against further attack, the loyal Count Harrach insists on personally protecting the Archduke. He now takes a position on the running board of the car in order to shield him with his body. Across town in the park, the gang are still nervous that with one of their number in custody, their role in the plot could be revealed at any moment. At the police station, Nejelko Kabrinovich is being brutally interrogated, but he maintains the Black Hand's vow of secrecy.
No one but me in Sarajevo knew about this bomb.
Gavrilo Princip has just eaten a sandwich and is now standing outside Schiller's Delicatessen on the corner of Franz Joseph Street. The Imperial Party now plan to visit the hospital. This means driving back along the main street, the Apple Quay. But somehow, the chauffeur becomes confused, and he now takes a wrong turn which will change the course of history. Gavrilo Princip just happens to be standing outside Schiller's Delicatessen when suddenly the Archduke's car turns into Franz Joseph Street. Completely by chance, fate has brought the assassin and his target within 10 feet of each other. Poitorek notices they are going the wrong way and tells the driver to reverse. But the gears become jammed. Although 2 shots have been fired, it seems as if no one is hurt, until Count Harrach notices the Archduke is bleeding.
As I pulled out my handkerchief to wipe away the blood, Her Highness cried out, "For God's sake, what happened to you?" Then she sank down. I had no idea that she had been hit.
Sophie,
His Royal Highness said, Sophie, don't die, live for our children."
Both of Princip's shots had found their mark. Despite Franz Ferdinand's bulletproof jacket and lucky charms, he had been shot clean through the neck, while his pregnant wife had been hit in the stomach. This photograph actually captured the moment when Gavrilo Princip was apprehended. The cyanide was again ineffective, and he was wrestled to the ground before he could shoot himself. By 11:30, the Archduke and his beloved wife Sophie were dead. The world was shocked as the news spread of the double murder. The funeral was held in Vienna, but even now, Sophie's low birth status was not forgotten by the royal family. Her coffin was deliberately placed on a plinth, 18 inches lower than her husband's. Now the Austro-Hungarian Empire wanted revenge. Princip was violently interrogated, but maintained his vow of secrecy. Although there was a suspicion that Serbia was behind the attack, Austria had no proof. That is, until Danilo Ilic, the fixer, was picked up by the police on a tip-off that Princip had stayed with him in Sarajevo. While the investigators considered his arrest to be routine, Ilic lost his cool and told the police everything, including the fact that the arms he had provided had come from the Serbian government. This was the smoking gun the Austrians were looking for. Exactly 1 month after the shooting, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, with the support of their ally Germany, declared war on Serbia. The Serbs had a pact with Russia, who in turn had an alliance with France and Britain. Just 6 weeks after a man was killed by a single bullet, the alliances were triggered. Germany invaded France, and the First World War had begun. Meanwhile, the conspirators were put on trial, although Mehmed Batik managed to escape. Grabez and the 2 schoolboys, Kubrilovic and Popovic, received sentences of between 13 and 20 years. The death penalty could only be applied to those over 20, so 23-year-old Danilo Ilic was hanged for his part in the plot. Colonel Appi was widely blamed for the assassination, but was safe in Serbia from any reprisals. He was eventually executed in 1917 for attempting to organize yet another political murder. Kabrinovich stated in court,
We are not criminals, we are honest people. We wanted to do good, and we shall die for our ideals.
He was sentenced to 20 years, but died of tuberculosis after just 18 months in prison. Gavrilo Princip turned 20 just days after his crime, and so narrowly escaped the hangman's noose. He was sentenced to life in prison, but always maintained he was a freedom fighter, not a criminal.
I suggest that you nail me to a cross and burn me alive. My flaming body will be a torch to light my people on their path to freedom.
In fact, his act had provided the spark which ignited the Great War. When he died of tuberculosis in April of 1918, the war was just months from ending. 20 million were dead on the battlefield, and the whole of Europe was left in political, economic, and social turmoil. Just a single bullet on the 28th of June 1914 ushered in an age of conflict on a scale unprecedented in history. Never again would people celebrate the declaration of war as they had across Europe in 1914. This footage, recorded in Munich, captured the elation at the time. But just 4 years later, Germany would be so utterly devastated by the conflict that the conditions were ripe for fascism to emerge. Adolf Hitler, captured here aged 25, would rise to power with the promise that he would rectify Germany's post-war problems.